Surah Ash-Shu'ara, which is 26th part of which is 26th chapter of the Holy Quran, in the 19th part of the Holy Quran. And in that surah, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he introduces Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he mentions 4 key things about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, starting with verse 78. He says, Alladhi khalaqani fahuwa yahdeen. My Lord is the one who has created me. In other words, that He is the cause of me coming to this world. fahuwa yahdeen. And He also guides me. Guides me in the sense that He is guiding me on the straight path, but also in every aspect of my life, my Lord guides me. Then he says, وَالَّذِي هُوَ يُطْعِمُنِي وَيَسْقِينِ. Second thing is that He feeds me and He gives me drink to drink. So in other words, my provision, my food is dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after creation, after being born in this world, what's most important to us is our food. Every day, obviously, if we don't drink, if we don't have food, we might be able to, without food, we might be able to go for 3 days, for a week. After that, what will happen to us? Our health will start to deteriorate. And eventually, might come to that stage, if you don't have any food, then you might lose your life. So the essential thing to survive is provision, is food and drink. So Ibrahim alayhi salam says that after creation, after guidance, my Lord gives me food and drink. And then he says that وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. That when I fall ill, when I'm not so well, it is my Lord who gives me shifa. My Lord who gives me cure. So imagine, the thing that we need, in our life, that if somebody is not well, if somebody falls ill, then what they need is obviously to get better, to get well. And so Ibrahim alayhi salam says that my Lord looks after me in a way. What he's saying, that He takes care of me. Not just only, He's not only just created me and abandoned me. He gives me food and drink. In other words, my necessities of life are fulfilled by my Lord. But it's not just about giving me, but actually taking care of me, being there for me when I need Him. And then he says, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ وَالَّذِي يُمِيتُنِي ثُمَّ يُحْيِينَ وَالَّذِي أَطْمَعُ أَنْ يَغْفِرَ لِي خَطِيَّتِي يَوْمَ الدِّينِ. That He is the one who's actually given me life, but He is the one who will cause me death. That He is the one who will take me away from this world. And He is also the one who overlooks my mistakes. He is the one who الَّذِي يَطْمَعُ أَنْ يَغْفِرَ لِي خَطِيَّتِي يَوْمَ الدِّينِ. That especially on the day of judgment, He will forgive my sins and He overlooks my shortcomings and weaknesses. Now the scholars of Islam have said that actually, if you follow these four characteristics or 4 key traits, 4 key blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will find that in the mother. That the first, without her, one could not come to this world. الَّذِي خَلَقَنِي فَهُوَ يَهْدِينَ. That Allah, my Lord, is the one who has given me life. But actually, that life comes about because of mother. Without the mother, there is no life. So the scholars of Islam say that actually, if you follow these attributes, these things that are referred to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are found in parents, but in particular in mother. So He is the one because of whom I am alive, because of whom I've come to this world. فَهُوَ يَهْدِينَ. And then not only that I've actually come to this world, my mother is the one who's been responsible for me learning things. She directs me from a very early age, when I cannot even sit down, when I cannot even sit up, when I cannot even, lie down. If I lie down on one side, early on, it's difficult to actually, take a turn. And all of those things. And then obviously, for me to walk, everything, it is my mother who guides me on all of those things. Well, then the second thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in verse 79 is that after that, she's the mother who feeds and who gives drink. That without, first of all, it tends to be the mother that is the main source of someone actually being fed, a child being fed. So without her, There might be other people helping out for a day, helping out for a temporary period of time, but it's mother who takes on that responsibility, assumes that responsibility, so much so that sometimes she might be really frail, she might need sleep herself, but she doesn't care that much about her own food and drink. What she cares about is the food and drink for the child. So وَالَّذِي, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is obviously referring to himself in these verses, but some of the scholars have said that if we can follow these key attributes, the key blessings that are given to a human being through mother, then what happens after that? وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. Then when I fall ill, in other words, who is there who's up all night long, to actually ensure that the child is warm, is comforted, she is there for that child. She looks after that child. She cares for that child. She cares so much for that child that she actually prefers the comfort of the child over her own comfort. That's quite remarkable. As human beings, literally, when we survey our own lives, we love ourselves more than anyone else. Whether we like to admit it or don't like to admit it, we prefer ourselves over everything that's in the world. Take parents, the mother, she has gone past that state, beyond that state, that she's willing to sacrifice her own desires, her own comfort, her own wishes, her own aram, all of those things for a tiny little baby, for a tiny little child, that's just come about in her life. And as a result of that, she's actually, her whole outlook on life changes, her lifestyle changes, her priorities change. All of that happens because of this bundle of joy that's come to her. Now we say a bundle of joy is great, and we love children, actually pass them around when they're smiling, when they're laughing, when they are not crying. But when nappy needs changing, when they're crying, we say, oh my God, can someone take him or her away? That's how much, even own siblings, even dads at times. This is where we are. And mother, is actually willing to go through all of that. And then وَالَّذِي أَطْمَعُ أَنْ يَغْفِرَ لِي خَطِيئَتِي يَوْمَ الدِّينِ, obviously referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He will forgive my sins on the day of judgment. But if you reflect on that and try to apply it to mother and child relationship, that how many mistakes that child makes every single day, doesn't care about her, doesn't give the same kind of love back to her, is really annoying, at times hugely embarrassing. At times actually others feel like, actually, can you just put this child away somewhere? Imagine being in a supermarket and all the customers, they're looking at this particular child, being on a public transport, on a bus, at a wedding, and this child is so annoying that it's unbelievable. Not really listening to anything. But mother doesn't abandon that child.